Hello, welcome, and hi. Once again, Doc Tima here. Apologize for the shirt. At one point I was a power lifter and decided I'm sure with Yoda, squatting was a good idea. So there it is. Squat you must. In any case, I hope all is well with you and yours. Um, this is kind of sooner than I usually do a video, but today there's been this interesting thing happening in the press. So the president of Ukraine made a comment about the president of the United States living in an information bubble. In return, the President of the United States called the Ukrainian president a dictator for not having elections. But without getting into the politics of it all, I want to discuss the idea of misinformation, disinformation, and propaganda. Misinformation is when you honestly misinform your audience, when you say something and it's wrong. It happens. We all do it. In media studies, and when we study it, when we call it misinformation, we're trying to kind of give it a category, right? Um, Often misinformation gets in the press. Hopefully, it'd be fact checked, it'd be looked at, it'd be considered, and then corrected. Newspapers have done corrections forever. News organizations have done corrections forever, and so we often, hopefully, see that. Obviously, in politics, due to interesting nuances in the First Amendment, political speech is considered kind of exempt from it. The only example I can think of that I can remember is actually when Al Franken, way back in the day, said what he did was wrong and he was screwed up, which I find interesting. So that's misinformation. Disinformation is when you intentionally give information that is wrong, when you intentionally put something out there that could sway thought. The difference between misinformation and disinformation is intent. Misinformation is misinforming. Disinformation is intentionally leading someone off, creating a red herring, trying to develop some sort of spiral of silence, going back to the video we talked about last video, trying to reset an agenda, a different direction. It's intentional. It's meant to mislead us. Which leads me to the third category I want to talk about. That is propaganda. Propaganda has been practiced forever by any group that is in power, that wants to stay in power and keep other people powerless. In the early 20th century, we saw probably the highest rise of propaganda. Actually, during World War I, as opposed to World War II, I was thinking about that. But World War I, we saw it heavily used on all sides of the war. Between World War I and World War II, the U.S. funded studies to determine what the influence or impact or effect of media was. Gets us into whole direct effect stuff and things like that. And in World War II, we had our own, for lack of a better term, Office of Propaganda, just like Nazi Germany did. They just were more overt about it, but we had it too. So no one has not been involved with propaganda when it comes to countries, nation states, things of that nature. Propaganda is a construction of a message or an ideological push that intentionally obfuscates or hides information and utilizes, more often than not, a populist line to get people to agree with it. The whole intent of propaganda is to get you to buy what I'm selling. And if you buy what I'm selling, then when I make a decision about something, you already bought in, so you're okay with it, right? And the more I feed you with a message and the more you buy in, the further and further, go back to the last video, things get cultivated. Propaganda is a powerful tool, particularly when we have, let's face it, a population that is not really all about looking things up, is willing to hear the first thing that gets their pulse going that gets that blood pressure going, and that's what they're going to go with. I strongly encourage you to not be that person. You hear something, breathe, take 2 beats, ask yourself who's saying it, how are they saying it, what's the intent of what they're saying it, why is it relevant? Then go look it up. The first video I did was influenced by the fact that people were talking about like who your news sources should be and why we should actually be listening to old news sources. This is where I say again, every class I teach, that's a media class, the first thing I tell my students the first day is to take their phones out, download 2 apps, the Associated Press and Reuters. Those should be your news sources. As far as I'm concerned, most everything else is opinion piece or close to it, or go back to what I just talked about 3 minutes ago. So I just wanted to kind of talk about that quick. I just wanted to put that out there that we need to ensure that particularly we're in a media saturated, a message saturated environment right now. We need to take a beat. We need to breathe. We need to think about it. And then we need to go through the process of actually seeing what's being said and figure out what's true and what's not. Hey, PolitiFact, Snopes, they're all right. They got access, but they might not know everything. Listen to old school, boring news, please. Please. That's all I got. That's all I'm going to say tonight. That's it. I don't really prepare anything. I just want to put that out there. So in that case, be well, take it easy, take care of each other. See you later. All right.